Hello. Storing strings to file and reading them back is relatively straightforward in Python. However, if you want to store numbers and read them back, there's an extra step required for both writing and reading. And that's because all file input and output is done with strings in Python. So if you want to store a number to a file, you have to convert it to a string as you write it to the file. And then when you read that back again, you're going to be reading back a string. If you want to do arithmetic with that value, you're going to have to convert it back into a number. And you would do that with either the int or float function. To begin, let's create a file. We're going to open a file here called data.txt in write mode with W here. The open function will do that for us, and we're going to associate the file data.txt with a file object called myfile. Now we're going to run a loop that's going to cycle 3 times. We can do that with the for loop and the range operator here. And each time what we're going to do is we're going to enter a quantity and a price. And basically what we're going to do is simulate an inventory application, a very small inventory obviously with just 3 items. Okay, so we're going to ask the user to enter an int for the quantity and another value, a float, for the price. And then we'll write both of those to a file. But notice, we have to convert the quantity to a string with the str function. We'll concatenate a \n, so we write that number only on one line. And then we'll do the same thing with the price. We have to use the str function to convert that numeric value into a string before we write it to the file. Let's give this a run. All right, now I have to enter quantity. I'll go with 10, 299, XL 5, 499. I'll do another one at 10. That's 29.99. Okay, it tells me the file was created successfully. Yes, here it is. And if we take a look at it, there are the values that we've written to the file. Okay, we've written these values to the file. Now, let's take a look at the file that's going to read this back again. We have one called read data. Let's take a look at it. Here's what we need in order to read that data back again. We'll open the same file, but in read mode this time with an R value here. Once again, we'll use the open function and we'll create a file object called myfile, which will be associated with this file on our disk. Now we'll print out a little bit of a heading here, and then we'll cycle again a loop that's going to run 3 times using the for loop and the range operator. And what we have to do, now we know the structure of that file. We know that we've got an int followed by a float, right? So what we'll do is we'll use myfile.readLine to read a line from the file, but we'll embed that inside the int function initially to convert that first number back into an integer, and we'll store it as a variable quantity. Now I could have reused the variable name qty, but I just wanted to show you that you don't have to use that same variable name. We'll then read the price by converting it back to a float. Remember what we're going to read when we read that line. It's going to be a string. We have to convert it back to a float. Then we can multiply the two together. We'll multiply quantity times the price and get the value of that inventory item. And then we'll print that out, the quantity and the price. And then finally we'll print out the inventory value formatted for currency. And remember, to get currency format, you want to use a $sign here at the end of your string. You want to use the format function .2f. You want to format the value variable with 2 decimal places. That'll make it look like currency. And to ensure that the $sign is right up against the first digit of the formatted value, we put sep equals and an empty string. Let's run it. And there's our output. I think you can see that those numbers are in fact correct. So remember, all file input and output is with strings. Numeric data has to be converted to a string before you write it to a file. And if you want to do arithmetic, when you read that data back, you've got to convert it back into the appropriate type of number.